So yeah, we're starting off with financial services unit, and it's a pretty important one, just because it's how stuff works, right? If you ever like own a car, if you ever get a house, you're taking out loans, you need to understand how like interest works. If you ever have a credit card, if you ever take like a payday loan from like a money mart, never do that ever, because that's like 400% interest or something like that over a year. It's ridiculous. Either way, we're learning about the financial services unit, really important one. And it's kind of broken up into three different things. Now, these three are the big ones: the simple and compound interest, credit cards, promotions, etc. And then lines of credit, personal loans, overdrafts, etc., etc., etc. My goal is we're going to try and lump lesson one and the simple interest together just today. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this part. At least that's what I'm hoping is going to be the case. Just because one, for the sake of time, and two, the interest stuff is the real important stuff. So just kind of starting out with it. Where are we on? We're on page two. So we're understanding bank accounts. Like, where does everyone bank with? Who banks with what? Credit union. You go with CIBC. I do my Connexus Credit Union, but for one of my jobs, I had to manage like a BMO personal account for a client as well. So there's a ton of different banks out there. Actually, in Canada, there's not a lot of banks out there. In Canada, you have 5 big banks and you have credit unions. That's it. In the States, they have literally thousands of different banks. So it's actually kind of nice here, at least, because like it's a lot easier to shop around. Then there's almost more competition in a way. So there's 2 different types of bank accounts, though. What are they?
Savings and checking.
Yeah, there's savings and checkings, right? Oops. There's a saving account and a checking account. The checking is the account that you do most of your stuff in. That's where pretty much everything like is going to come from. And so these types of accounts, whenever you go to a bank, they all have different types of services, right? They have. So what do you look for when you? Let's imagine you didn't have a bank account and your task was to go and search for one. Sometimes I do that as an assignment for the sake of time. We're not doing one this year. You'd be looking at the cost of bank fees. You'd be looking at the interest that you would get or have to pay. You'd be looking at. I'll make this. Is everyone able to see that text? Can I make it a little bit smaller? Okay. You're looking at transactions and minimum balances. Because sometimes if you don't have enough money in your account, you will get fined. Right? It's like, wow, you don't have a lot of money right now. We're going to make you pay more. It's kind of mean. So those are 4 things that you're looking for in the account. It's just, what is the account going to offer you? Is it the right fit for you? I remember when I was a teenager, I got completely scolded by my mom because I was using my savings account for everything instead of my checkings account. So every single time I went to 7-Eleven, McDonald's, whatever the heck it was, I was paying like $1 every single time. And then we looked at my like statement and I just got like bombarded. I think I paid like $70 in fees, something like that. So going into the bank services course. Now we all know what an ATM is. We've seen them. We've used them. You can do a whole lot of different stuff in them. I'm not going to go over too much into it. I'm going to be honest with you. You don't have to write this down, but I'm just going to write it down just so you can see what I'm saying. So for this part, you don't have to write it down, but you know that you can withdraw and deposit money. You can also deposit checks as well. You don't need to write that down. That's fine. I assume everyone here has a good understanding of how an ATM works. You put your card in, you put your PIN in. Most people just use it to take money out, but you can also like put money in as well, or checks. You can actually use ATMs to pay bills. If you didn't know, you can use them to transfer money. And you can also use them to check your balance. Most of this stuff, other than you take money from it, is kind of dead nowadays because we all have cell phones. Like, who here has online banking set up? Yeah, like, right? Like, it's so convenient to have online banking. So if you want to transfer money, if you need to pay your phone bill, you have a car bill you have to pay, usually it's done just through your banking app on your phone app. But you can do it on the website and stuff too, or on the ATM. So most people just use it to take some money in. I'm not going to go into like this computer, cell phone, all of the above included. Like, you can get direct deposit forms here. You can deposit checks by taking a picture of it, stuff like that. E-transfers, that's huge. That's how I've paid my rent for ever. And then if you go to the actual bank, that's when they can do stuff like you can make large withdrawals, right? Again, you don't need to write this down. That's fine. But for me, I can't go to an ATM and take out more than 500 a day. It doesn't let me. So that doesn't work. So for, let's say, for example, I'm buying a car like in 3,000 cash, whatever it is, I have to go and either every day for a week, or I just go to the bank once and they give it to me. That's also how you get checks. You order the actual checkbooks from them. You can exchange currency. So for example, that's something I had to do recently. Here's Canadian money, give me American pesos, please. And charge me a dumb rate. And again, you don't need to write this down. To use an ATM, you need two things: bank card, PIN number, right? None of this is new stuff for us. But now we're going to go into like some type of an imaginary situation. Like, so I have changed banks at one point because my one bank just was like not good to me. So long story short, when I went to go buy my house, I had a student line of credit through the bank. They forgot to do some stuff on their end. So when I went to go get a credit report, it looked at my student loan debt as if that was credit card debt, which are two different things. And so they're like, wow, they're like, oh my gosh, this guy has like so much credit card debt. We can't give him a house. So after that, I left my bank and I had to go shop around. What type of bank do I want? And so then you look at what that bank offers you, right? Is it meeting your needs? You know, are you wanting to save with them? Maybe they have like a nice credit card associated with their bank, stuff like that. So you're looking at what your banks can offer you, which is what this thing here is. And this is actually from the Assiniboine credit union. So what is this, page 3? So on page 3 here, let me zoom in a little bit on my side. There we go. So on page 3, essentially we have someone, just a random person I made up. This is what they do in a month. So they do 20 debit card transactions. So they fill up their car, buy groceries, all that stuff 20 times a month. They also do 4 ATM withdrawals at credit union ATMs. She makes 4 deposits and 3 transfers, and her balance dips below $1,000. So if she's going to the Assiniboine credit unit, which of these 3 accounts would this person use? Well, if you were this person, you'd look at what do each of these things do. Lots of banks have fees associated with taking an account there. Has anyone been to the US before? So if you ever go to the US, paying cash, everything is cheaper in cash. Like, so if you were to, like, let's say you were to fill up your car at 7-Eleven here, you paid cash, you get like 3 cents a liter cheaper, something like that. Like, that's very much still a cash society. Like, whereas like me, if I can't tap, I'm screwed. Like, I've genuinely forgotten my PIN number once because I'm so used to tapping. So this stuff's really important for us. For the States, it doesn't matter as much. So you can see you have the plan here, and you might need to like zoom in a little bit with like, I guess, your face, your eyes. But there's a lot of different stuff here. So if you're ever looking at like a brochure, if you're ever looking at some online information, this is the type of stuff you're going to see. And it's important to understand what each of this stuff is and what you're kind of looking for. So in this case, We know that she's doing debit card transactions, ATM withdrawals, deposits, and transfers, and she doesn't have a ton of money in the bank. So those are the 5 things we're kind of looking into to establish which one of these are good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in and I'm going to make a little notch beside the important stuff here. So that way I know what to look for. This is why paper stuff's quite nice in this case. So I know that there's always a monthly fee to use any type of bank service. A lot of them have free fees. So most of you guys, and me as well, you probably don't pay anything ever to your bank a month just to like use your debit card. Because most people have that type of a plan. So we have our monthly fee. We have a minimum balance to waive that fee. There are discounts here, which don't really fall for her. It doesn't say she's a student, doesn't say she's like young or a brand new worker. So none of this matters. There is a number of free transactions here. So now let's go into this stuff. So we have debit card purchases, we have deposits, we have withdrawals, we have transfers. Boom, debit card purchase. There's a withdrawal. And then what am I looking for? Deposits and transfers. Here is my transfers right here. And then I think this is my deposit. Cool. So what I've done is I've gone through and I've just figured out this is the stuff, like this is how I know I use my bank. Boom, that's the stuff that you need right there. So now if you're looking through this, the rest of this stuff is kind of garbage. Like you could even like black it out if you really wanted to. You don't need it anymore. So now we have the information we need. So I'm going to go to the next page here. Now for you guys, you can split it up like this, which is totally fine. Because you're going to need to reference this sheet. I'm looking at the sheet on my computer. You guys are going to need to look at the sheet that you have here because I just can't go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But I'm going to make a little bit of a table here with all the stuff that I know I need. So I'm just going to list the stuff. So don't draw this chart yet, but I'm just going to list the stuff that I know I have. So the stuff I know I have is there's the fee, the monthly fee. There's the debit transactions. There's the withdrawals. I'm gonna make this stuff a little smaller. There's the withdrawal. Sorry? Not yet. I'll tell you there in a second. There's our deposit. There's your transfers. And then there's your total cost, right? It's cool. So now I know all the things. There's 6 things that this person's looking for when they make a bank account. And I know I have 3 different plans, right? I have the light plan, I have the active plan, and I have the digital plan. Cool. So list all the stuff that you're looking for and then list all the plans on like another thing. And all of a sudden what you have here is you have yourself a nice table to kind of keep things organized. Yeah, if you're ever looking for like which insurer to go through, which bank plan do you want to go, which credit card do you want to use, this is the type of stuff you're going to do to figure out what's the best option for you, especially if you're credit card shopping, because some credit cards like have insane interest. So like for example, Aiden, actually this works quite good for you and you too, Stephen. Like if you guys are planning to go to school next year, you're a student. There are student credit cards out there, super low interest. I travel a lot, so my credit card is like a travel one. And I wish I would have booked my Sunwing trip on it because.
So what do you have, like a Capital One?
I have a BMO one. I get a bunch of air miles for it. Okay, so I've done myself a little table here. So now I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this. I'm just going to start putting that information in. And so it's just kind of looking at it here. Again, like I'm not going to go back and forth all the time. But I'm going to start off with the fee. That's the first thing I have up here. The monthly fee I can see is $3. Now it says that if your balance is at $1,000 or more, that monthly fee is waived. So normally this person would pay $0 if they have over $1,000 in their account. She doesn't, so she's going to pay that $3. So she's paying those $3 for the lights account. Now for the active one, we can see that that one's going to cost $7. Same thing, her account dips below it. The digital is $10. Her account dips below that. So you see how I'm setting that up? So 3, 7, and 10, I just go to my fee category. I put them in all across the board for that. Next, I'm going to do my debit transactions. And remember, how many debit transactions does she do? She has 20, right? So if I go and look at each plan, debit card purchases, give me 1 second today. Yeah. So it's 50 cents per thing, right? So 50 cents times 20 transactions, $20. Right, so that one is going to be 20, or sorry, not $20, $10, right? Because it's 50 cents times 20 transactions. Same thing for our active, and then for our digital, it's free. So it goes $10, $10, and then it's actually $0 here. Now for my withdrawals, she does 4 withdrawals a month, right? She does 4 withdrawals. That's this thing. So it goes 50 cents, 50 cents, and free. So it goes 2, 2, and 0, right? Same thing with our deposits. Now the deposits, it's free for all of them, right? Your bank is never going to charge you for giving them money. They want you to give them money and they can invest it. So it's all, you're never going to pay for a deposit at any bank. So that's $0 all across the board. So next we just have transfers. That's our last thing here. So that's in between your different accounts. So like a check-in, a savings, stuff like that. So it's 70 cents per time and then $1 per time. She does it a total of 3 times, right? So 70 cents times that 3 transfers is going to give you $2.10, right? Same thing for active. It was 70 cents per transfer. Now for digital, it was $1 per transfer. So that's just $3 flat. So now all I have to do, sorry, just filling in the table. Yeah, yeah. We're just comparing like which bank account is best for her. So what I need to do now is I just need to add up what it is, and then whichever one's like the cheapest, that's the best plan for her, right? This is my needs. This is the cheapest plan that I have available to me that meets those needs. So this one here is going to be $17.10. Is everyone able to read that okay? This one here is going to be $17, $19, $21.10. This one over here is just going to be a flat $13. Wait, did I mess anything up there? I feel like I messed something up here. 710 0. No, okay, I'm good. Okay, perfect. Okay, so which plan's better here for her? Digital, right? Of course it's going to be digital. It's the cheapest one. Perfect. So that's the type of stuff that this unit looks at. We're not spending a lot of time doing this type of work, but remember, like, this is a really important skill, because if you ever go shopping for anything money-wise, bank plans, credit cards, loans, mortgages, this is the type of stuff you're going to be doing. Is
for the average person, it would be active. Let's say I was a business owner.
Mhm.
Digital, right?
So if you were a business owner, so this is a personal account, you'd have a business account itself. So that would be a little bit different. So, I don't actually know like what a business account plans would work like, but this is like a personal plan. A business plan is going to have their own different things, but that's exactly what you do. You'd look at the different types of business plans. Like if you're a really big shop, like let's say you're like 7-Eleven, you get hundreds or thousands of purchases a day. That's going to be like one of your big things, right? You don't want to get dinged every single time someone uses an ATM.
Wouldn't it be better though to have like active account instead of a digital account?
Depends on your uses. Yeah, depends on like what you use it for.
That would make sense, though, you'd save a lot more money.
Possibly, yeah, yeah. Yeah, like there'd be a different business account, but so yeah, in this case, the digital plan is her best option. Cool. So that's it. That one's it. Yeah, that one was easy. Like a lot of this stuff is like you guys are adults. You've managed money. You have responsibilities. So none of this is really new for you. So there's just really two good habits, of course. And this is really, really important actually. You want to review your bank statement every month. You know, I'm not going to pretend that I'm perfect about that. Everyone you know is probably not perfect about that, but it's a good habit to get into. Because if there's anyone who ever steals your identity, if a business ever double charges you, you have a certain time limit in order to catch them. So sometimes you're going to have unknown purchases. So like, for example, I've had someone steal my identity before. And if I hadn't have read my bank statement that month, and I would have caught that next month, they can't do anything anymore. Oops, unknown statement. I'm just going to type that in. So you want to review your thing every month, and you want to be looking for unknown purchases. There we go. Cool. So I'm going to do one more here, which is number 2. I'm just going to quickly grab some water.
Well, let's talk about the centric. Or did you guys already talk about that?
Not yet. I haven't quite yet, but we're going to get there. That's today, and that's later today, and then tomorrow as well. So I have one more example for you. So this case, we have Laura who's studying fashion design. If you're a student, you're almost always going to have different types of accounts. So she has a bunch of money in savings. She has $6,500 saved up to cover her living expenses for the first 3 months of study. So she wants to open up a new account. And her monthly living expenses are $2,000. So it costs her $2,000 a month to live. Page 5. So the difference with this question and our previous one is that this is one that happens over time. Her situation is going to change. Like, so we know that she has $6,500 a month in savings. She's losing $2,000 a month. It's not getting replenished. So her minimum balance is going to probably dip below something. It's something we can think about right now. So we know that she's going to have to do 2 checks, pay 4 bills online, and then use her bank card for 10 transactions a month. And so she wants to figure out which of these 4 types are going to be the least expensive, right? Because the one you pay the less to use is the one that's always going to be the best for you. So this is this information here that she has. Oops, am I on the right thing? Yes, I am.
This really is accounting.
Kinda, yeah. It's almost like a little bit of an intro to some of the stuff that we'll be doing next block. Not the whole thing. I know this stuff can get a little bit drier. But it's an important life skill, right? So these are the 4 different accounts. There's the value account, self-service account, full service account, and bonus account. What we need to do though is remember, this is now over a 3-month period. So we need to actually set up a chart that goes over the 3 months. And this is where you're going to have to kind of be looking at your charts here. I guess you're going to have to flip back and forth for this one. I didn't mean to design it that way. But we're going to design some charts here. So we're going to start off with just month 1. I'm going to put M1 here, right? So we have M1. And I know I have my, there's 4 different accounts. There's the value. There's the self-service, SS. There's the full service, FS. And there's the bonus savings. Those are my 4 accounts. I'm just going to throw those up on top. So now I need to figure out what I need to put on this like left side here. She doesn't do a lot. Oh, sorry, I'll give you a second. So she's coming into it with $6,500. She spends $2,000 a month. How much money is she actually going to have here?
500.
4,500, right? Because 6,500 minus 2,000. So first off, for month 1, I'm just going to put here like a dollar symbol, the amount of money she's going to have. That's one thing we need to keep in mind is just how much money does she have? She has $4,500. And then we also need to know there's always going to be a fee associated with every type of bank account. So what's our fee? I'm just going to scroll up for a second really quickly. So there's her fee, and then there's her transactions, checks, and paying bills online. Oh,
She'll have like less than 5. Or no, like less than 4.
well, by the end of it, she'll have $500 left. Yes, yeah, because like month 1, month 2, and month 3. But so there's 4 different things here. So there's, so what I've done is I've listed the month. Hey, it's month 1. This is how much money she has in her account. This is what the fee is going to be for each one of these plans. This is what the cost of the charges is going to be, and then that's it. So what we're going to do is we're going to lump. When I say charges, we're going to lump the 10 transactions, the 2 checks, and the 4 bills online, all in just the one thing, just to make it like a little bit easier to see. So I'm going to quickly draw my chart here then. So this is month 1 for each of the 4 plans. Oops.
Kind of line, that's great.
Yeah, and a great line. Cool, but okay, so I've established month 1 here. So let's quickly do all 3 of these plans then. So for month 1, I have 4,500. So what's the fees for each of them? Well, again, I'm not going to scroll up too much. I'm going to try not to, but the monthly fee, $3.90, $10.90, $24.50, and no fee. But remember, fees are usually waived as long as you have a certain amount in your account. So it's waived, it's waived, it's waived. She's above all of these and how much money's in her account. This has no fee at all. So yeah, exactly it. She's paying nothing for all of these fees. $0. Cool. And then let's look at the charges, right? So there was what was it? 2 checks. 2 checks, 4 bills online, and then she uses her bank 10 times. So 2 checks and 4 bills. Those aren't actually on here. So we can assume those are free then. They're not saying they charge anything. So actually those are free. So all we're now looking for is the 10 transactions, the 10, oh yeah, just 10 transactions. So that's going to be something like this, right? That is her using her debit card, taking money out, blah, blah, blah. She's doing 10. Well, we've met this one. That's not going to charge her anything. That's not going to charge her anything. That's not going to charge her anything. So it just goes 0, 0, 0, 0 all across the board. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I lied. I lied to you. Sorry. So there's the 10 debits, there's the 4 bills, and there's the 2 checks. The bills and checks do fit under this stuff here. Bill payments and checks are in here. So she's doing 16 total, right? 10 debit, 2 checks, 4 bills. You get 10 of them for free, and then she has to pay for the other 6 of them, right? And those other 6 of them are going to cost her 50 cents each. So she's going to actually pay $3 here for that first one. But the rest of them are going to all be $0.
But that's because she has over $1,000.
That's because she's over that minimum amount. Yes. Yeah. But at some point, she's going to be below that for some of these. Because remember, she has $4,500 right now. But once we get to month 2, all of a sudden, she's now going to have $2,500, right? Because it's 4,000 minus that $2,000. We're on month 2 now. So now we want to know what the fee is going to be.
It's going to be the same thing.
And what the charges are.
This is the last one for you.
Oh, the total? Yes. Yeah. So we're going to add all this up eventually and get a total for it. You're right. So, going into what you just said, Stephen. So she has $2,500 in her account right now for month 2. That's above the minimum amount for all of these. So it's going to be a whopping 0, 0, 0 all across the board again for her fees. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. This is just going to be a copy and paste right here, right? She's still paying those $3. And the rest of those plans were all, oh, sorry, the BS plan here. You get 2 debit. I lied here. You get 2 here. So this one's going to be, so 12 times 50, sorry, 14 times 50 cents. She's paid $7 here for the budget plan. So this is all going to get copied and pasted down here. Nothing's changed. She's changed nothing other than the amount of money in her account.
But she still has to pay bills in the 3rd, right?
Yeah. Now we have to go into the 3rd month, and this is where stuff might change for her, because now all of a sudden her account's looking a lot slimmer. She only has $500 now. But same thing. There's going to be a bank fee, and there's going to be charges. I'm just going to extend this down a little bit.
So that all changes.
Everything's going to change now. And why is it going to change now?
He's below below 1,000.
She's below the minimum amount for each of them. Yeah. So now she has to pay. Yeah. So now all of a sudden her fees are no longer $0. Her fees are now going to be, she's below all of these, except for this bonus savings account still has no fee. But so for her value account, it's $390. For the self-service account, it's $10.90, except she's a student. She pays half of that, right? 50% of that. So that's actually going to be $545 for her. Does that make sense where I got $545? Because she's a student, she only pays half of that fee. And then this full service one's that $24.50. So $390. $5.45. I'm just going to scroll up really quickly. $24.50. And then there was, this one was still $0. Now these charges down here, these are still going to stay the same. So it goes 3007. So what's my last step here? Add them up. That's it. Yeah. What's the total? Because that's going to give you my answer, right? So what's the total? If I add all this up, so 3, 6, 9, 1290.
And that's in 1 month.
That's over 3 months.
3 months.
Over 3 months, that's how much it costs her to use that bank. For, sorry, that plan, the value plan. For the SS plan, it's 545. For this plan, it's the 2450. And then for that budget plan, it's $21. So cheap, the best plan for her is going to be which plan?
First one.
This one, right? The self-serve one. Because it's the cheapest one. And that makes sense, right? She's a student. She saves a lot of money by being a student there once it gets to the bank fees. And because she had her account higher than that minimum threshold for so long, she's still good to go. Okay. Any questions about that so far? It's like, it's not that it's hard math. It's just, it's organizing the information, right? It's kind of going through the bank statements, finding out what you need to know, and then using some logic with it. This isn't hard math. It's taking 50 cents times it by something. It's just very easy to make a mistake though if stuff isn't organized. Breathe.
Sorry, just dry here.
Here, you can squirt some.
No.
You can squirt.
No, but yeah, that's.
So yeah, there's two different kinds of interest, and it's really important you know which one's which, because if you ever take out, oh my God, if you ever take out a loan, you need to know which one it is, because it, over periods of years or months, it can change how much you owe by like tens of thousands of dollars. Now, we're going to be doing the old fashioned way where we're going to be putting like numbers in our calculators and stuff like pen and paper. There are calculators out there. If you want to calculate a mortgage, Google mortgage calculator, car loan calculator, all this stuff is out there. Interest on a credit card, like those calculators exist out there. But it's important to understand like why the two of these exist. So we're just trying to understand, like, so have you studied either of these before?
No.
Okay. No,
Never
let's,
got to this class or this section in the course.
okay, nope, that's fine then. Okay, so simple interest is a lot simpler with it's a lot simpler than compound, which is why we're splitting this up into 2 days. So we're going to start going into this. So some of the key ideas here is that remember before we talked about how the bank's never going to charge you for giving them money, for depositing money. They want your money because they're going to use that to loan it out to people, make money on that, to invest it, stuff like that. And so when you deposit money, into a savings or investment account, you earn interest. So what that means is because you give the bank, let's say you give the bank $1,000 in your savings account, and they say, we're going to give you 5% interest. They're going to take 5% of whatever that is. Maybe it's over a year, maybe it's over a month. We'll get into that later. Give me a second for my calculator. So they're going to take 5%, and that's 0.05, right? Of that $1,000, and they're going to give that to you over the period of a year. They're going to give you $50 over a year for keeping that money in there. That's just an example. But that's what interest is, right? So that when you deposit something in there, you gain interest for it in a savings account. Now, if you, do you have a loan for the car? No. Oh, there you go. Okay. So if you were to have taken out a loan for that car though, so let's say, for example, I don't know how much it is. You don't need to tell me. But let's say they said, yeah, that car costs $3,000, or I'm gonna use $1,000 because it's an easier number. If it was $1,000 and it's at 5% interest, you pay an extra $50. You pay $1,050 for that. So in our last block here, like we learned a lot about inflation stuff, what causes that. We looked at like the mortgage rates, and like it was so smart to always buy houses, right? We talked about so smart to buy houses because the mortgage rates are an all-time low, which means if you buy a $200,000 house, you're only paying maybe like $220,000 for it. So you're paying an extra $20,000, but that's really low compared to where it's been at literally anywhere else in time. So in interest, so again, interest is you either earn additional money or you pay additional money depending on who's given the money and who's taken it. So if you take out a loan, you're paying interest. You're paying for the privilege of them giving you some money. If you give a bank money, you put it in a savings account, they're giving you money for deposit in that there. So you'll gain it a couple dollars a year. So when you deposit money, you earn the interest. When you borrow the money, you pay the interest. That's the main ideas here. And interest is, remember, so interest is the official definition is compensation paid to the lender for use of their money, right? If someone gives you like, I don't know, like five smoke, like if you got your smokes at home, you're on a road trip, they give you 5 smokes, maybe you give them 6 back, right? That's a form of interest. Now there's 3 primary terms that are associated though with this. So there's the principal, and this isn't like, you know, like the school, the principal of a school. The principal is going to be the original amount invested or borrowed. So going back to that $1,000, that's the principal, right? $1,000 you put into your savings account, that's the principal amount of money. Over a year, you earned $50 in interest. That's the interest is how much you earn over that time. So the interest, so simple interest. So we know what interest is. So simple interest is interest calculated as a percentage of the principal. So remember, if it's $1,000 loan at 5%, the interest calculated as a percentage of the principal, I took that 1,000 times it by the 0.05, 5%, boom. And then there is the term. Now, if you left it in there for 1 year, you got $50. If you left it in there for 2 years, maybe you got like $100, so on and so forth. The term is the amount of time. So the length of time in years, I want you to underline that. I want you to underline the years part for an investment or loan. Most things operate in years. You actually want to underline that years part. That will come into play later. Okay. Everyone have that? Oh, you still writing? Okay. Okay. So, does that make sense? Like the key idea, I know I just threw a lot at you there, but the key idea is there. You borrow money, you pay interest. You save money, you gain interest. And then the principal, the original amount, simple interest is we use it as a percentage, and the term just the amount of time in years. So there's 2 formulas here that you have. The first one here is, so we have something that says it's I is equal to PRT. So that's the math way of saying this, but we have the definition of what each of those 4 things are right here. But basically, the I is the amount of interest earned or due. So the $50 in this case. The P is the principal, the $1,000. The R is the annual interest rate expressed as a decimal. If it's 5%, you don't replace this with a 5, it's 0.05. And then T is the term of the loan in years. So make sure you write that in there in years. And then of course, so that's how you calculate interest on like money. But if you ever do an investment, you can figure out how much it's going to be worth at the end. So remember, when we calculated the interest, we just calculated $50. But what you actually had was $1,050. So that's where this one comes into play. So the final thing here is the A, and that's the final value of the investment. That's that $1,050. Okay. So make sure you underline that express as decimal, make sure you have that years here in brackets, and moving forward. So quick example here. Again, so the simple interest is not hard math. We just have to make sure we structure it right. So starting off here, so Gordon wants to invest $2,000. His bank offers investments options that earn simple interest rates at 1.75% per year. So I have the principal, I have the term underlined, and I have the interest rate underlined. I have my three things, because there's three things here to calculate that rate, right? So if he invests the money for 1 year, how much interest will he earn? It wants to know how much interest. Doesn't want to know how much he's going to have at the end of the day. It wants to know just how much interest himself he earned. So if that's the case, I don't care about what I have at the end of the day. I only care about how much interest I'm making. I'm going to use this top formula, right? I is equal to PRT. So I'm going to really, really quickly write that in. So I is equal to PRT. Now, remember, this is PRT. This is technically P times R times T, right? So you don't need to write this in if like you're okay with that. But what this actually means is it's taking P times R times T. You don't need to write that in if you don't want to, but that's what's technically happening there, right? We're mathematicians, lazy. That's why it's just PRT, not P times R times T, but that's what's actually happening there. Cool, so all I need to do then is I just need to substitute stuff in, right? We've been doing this for a while now. So my interest is equal to the principal times the R here stands for the annual interest rate, the rate, times the term, the length of time. So I know he's doing $2,000, so equals. So he's taking $2,000. Now it's times at 1.75. What do I put in here?
0.0175.
You're right, 0.0175. If you ever need to figure out how to calculate the interest rate, remember 1.75%. Oops, that's a fraction. 1.75% means over 100, right? 1.75 divided by 100, 0.0175. That's where we get that from. 0.0175. And then times it by the term. What do you think I'm going to put in here? I'm going to put the year in. How many years? Well, oh, that's how many days are in a year, but how many years is it?
1.75.
Just 1 year, isn't it? Just 1 year, and that's it. Just times one. Now, I like where your heads are going, though. That's going to come into play later. So all I need to now do is punch this in my calculator. So take the 2,000, times it by 0.0175. You times it by 1, which doesn't change anything. Cool. He's earned $35 in interest, right? So if he puts his money in here for a year, he earned $35 in interest. Cool. Has anyone ever heard the phrase, if I won the lottery, I'd just live off the interest? No? Oh my God, it's all my family talks about at Christmas. If I won the lottery. So to give you an idea, let's take the same interest rate. Let's assume though, you won $10 million. Don't write this down. Let's just assume you won $10 million and you're going to put that in a bank account. How much would you make in a year in this case? So I'm just going to, same thing, 10,000. So sorry, 10 million. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times that interest rate, which is 0.0175 times 1 year. In 1 year, at a simple interest, that is how much money you would make. You would not dip into that $10 million. You would profit $175,000 if that just stayed in an account. So when people say, I'm going to live off the interest, they're going to take that giant lump of money, they're going to give it to the bank. The bank's going to be like, thank you, sir. We're going to turn this into, maybe they'll make, $1 million with it because they have all the smart investment people. And then this is your reward for giving them all that money. So when people say living off the interest, it means they're not taking any of the money that they actually have. They're just taking the money that the bank's given them as interest. So does that make sense? Cool. Okay, so that was part one, or was it part A? Sorry. So for part A, question A, he makes $35 in interest, right? Cool. Now for question B, I don't need to repeat a lot of this work because the only thing that's changing is what? The year. So the amount's the same, the rate's the same. So I'm just going to go straight into it. He's still doing, so it's still, the interest rate here is 2,000 times, everyone can see this okay? Is that okay? Times that 0.0175 times 2. So without even a calculator, what's that answer going to be? $70, you betcha. Because it's technically just taking this thing times 2, right? Cool. So if you do it for 2 years, you make $70 interest. That's simple interest. Takes the principal, you times it by an amount, times it by a length of time, boom, there's your answer. Everyone got that? Perfect. Okay, I got one more here for you. So this is calculating the interest, but not everything's about the interest. Sometimes it's about the investment as well, right? So remember, if we went to that $10 million example, you invested $10 million and in return you got $10,175,000. Your total amount of money there is still $10,175,000. So it's important to read the question very carefully. Is it asking to find the interest or the total amount of money you have? What's this one asking you to do? So it's an investment, and it wants to know how much this investment would be worth. So that means, which one of these two formulas do you think I'm going to use then?
A equals P.
Yeah, that one, right? Because this tells me how much something's going to be worth at the end of it. And that's what this question wants. So A equals P plus I. And oh, I don't know what P and I are. We can always look up. But that's what I'm going to start with. I'm going to write my formula down before anything. So A equals P plus I. Okay, so we know that A is the final value. We know that P is the principal. What's I? Interest earned. Yeah. So this is the common mistake people are going to make. They're going to go into this A equals P plus I formula, and they're going to put, oh, the interest rate was 1.75%. They're just going to put plus 0.0175 or something. That's not what it's asking. It wants to know what the interest earned was. So you'd put, oh, it's $35. So it's the interest that you've earned. So you actually do this calculation to figure out, this whole thing goes into just this one little part here. So this whole thing is that part right there. And then you add that back onto that principal, onto the amount you originally put in. So you take that $175,000, put that back into that $10 million. So let's really quickly work that one out here. So we'll do question A here in a second, but on the very, very right side, I'm going to go here and I need to figure out what I is, right? Because that's what I need to figure. I know what my principal is. This is not a hard concept. However much you have at the in a year from now is however much you put in plus however much you earned. So I need to figure out how much I earned in interest over this. So I'm going to put that formula back in. So I equals P RT. So interest. Actually, I'm not even going to put interest. I'm just going to put I equals PRT there. So I equals Oh my gosh, mouse. TRT. I hope that's big enough. Cool. I'm gonna use the text thing here. So for question A, so let's figure it out. So I need to figure out how much interest he's gonna earn at 3% over a 2-year period with $5,000. And once I figure that out, I can take that and add that on over here. So I need to do this right side first. So A equals PRT. The principal in this case was what? $5,000, yeah. Times by, so PR, that's the interest rate, 3%. What would I put here? I wouldn't put 3.00 because remember it's 3%. 3% is going to be, yeah, it's going to be 0.03 because it has to be as a decimal, right? 0.03. Then I times that by the amount of years it is, which is 2 years. So if I do that calculation, this is eventually going to be $300. You earned $300 of interest over that. So then what do I do? Put on the left side here? Not just 300. It's A is equal to the P is the principal, which is 5,000, plus the interest I earned, which was this 300. So overall, he's gonna walk out of there with $5,300, right? Cool. So I'll give you exactly 1 minute. I'm actually setting up a timer. I'll give you 1 minute. Do question B really quickly. So try it, question B. And you have to do that the right part first. Sorry? Think you got it? So what do you think? So $5,000 times this interest rate, 0.0375 times the amount of years. What do you get there as an answer? 750? You betcha. $750 is how much interest he earned, which means the total amount of his investment ends up being equal to, what was that, 750? Oops. $5,750. Right? Cool. So now looking at question C though here, what's different about that? It's months instead of years. You're absolutely right. Remember, how do I express this part here, the time? By years, by years. So I would need to turn these months into years then, right? How many years, how many months in a year? 12. So if I do that, if I take 12 of those, I now have 1 year and I have 3 months remaining. So this is technically 1 and 3 over 12 years. You could also put that as a decimal if you wanted. So that's, what is that? 1 and, oops. 1 plus 3 over 12. If you can't work it out in your head there, it's 1.25, right? You could use either one of those, but that's technically, so instead of a 2 here, you'd put times 1.25 because it's 1.25 years. Does that make sense? So everything always needs to go back to that years. If this was days, you'd have to figure out, like, let's say it's like 200 days. You'd have to figure out, oh, it's 200 divided by 365. It's this weird decimal, like 0.52, blah, blah, blah of a year. And again, there's calculators to help you with this type of stuff because it gets complicated later. But so for question C then, the same thing. Your I is going to be, where's this? So your interest is going to be, it's the 5,000 times the interest rate of 0.0175 times 1.25 years, right? Let me just do this. So that's what you put in your calculator there, because it's $5,000 times 0.0175. That's the interest rate times the amount of years, which is now a decimal. Ooh, what did I just break? So if you plug that all into your calculator, what do you get? Yeah, so 0.375. Remember, you're dealing with money. Round it up. Yeah, yeah. So you got $109.38, which means your investment is now $5,000 plus that $109.38. So the whole thing equals out to $5,109.38. Cool. And like, and that's it. Like, that's as hard as the simple interest math gets. It's, here's 2 formulas, plug the stuff in, boom, you get an answer. Now, it does get a little bit harder once you get to, or did I not put that on here? Oh, I didn't put it in there. Okay, that gets a little bit easier. So keep trying some of this stuff. I'm going to say once you get to 2:45 though, once you get to 2:45 p.m., I want you to jump, no matter where you are, I want you to jump to question 3. So you get the next 30 minutes here to work on some of this stuff, but in 15 minutes, I want you to jump to question 3. Yes, question 3. Pause my recording.